Today, I would like to talk about echo chambers. And I titled our discussion today, Out of the Echo Chamber. Anyway, what is an echo chamber? It is an environment in which a person encounters only beliefs or opinions that coincide with their own, so that their existing views are reinforced and alternative ideas are not considered. Let's read that again one more time so we're all on the same page. An echo chamber is an environment in which a person encounters only beliefs or opinions that coincide with their own, so that their existing views are reinforced and alternative ideas are not considered. An example of an echo chamber would be the atmospheres into which, say, a religious person places him or herself that do not expose them to non or especially anti, whatever their religion is, let's say Christian, perspectives. The messages taught in church and Sunday school, their chosen friends on Facebook, perhaps what they watch on television, and the articles or videos or comments or posts they choose to seriously consider. When a topic is preached about or discussed, it is assumed that those hearing or participating already agree with the foundations of the position on the topic. And if any arguments against that position are brought up, they're often incorrectly presented, and they're never seriously considered as possibly true. Religious or not, we all tend to think we're right, don't we? After all, we wouldn't believe something if we didn't think that something was true, and if it's true, then we're justified in believing it, right? So, naturally, we surround ourselves with people who also believe what we consider to be true, and being surrounded with those who agree with our claims and beliefs, we feel even more validated in those positions. It's very common to honestly consider only the perspectives of those who agree with us. And we can find ourselves open to learn from those who agree, but not to learn from those who hold significantly different points of view. Echo chambers can be quite comfortable, and it can be a welcome break to spend time with like-minded people. But we should keep in mind that even though it feels really good and thus helps the held positions feel absolutely true, your particular group could be completely wrong about just about everything. And it is almost certainly wrong about something. As long as we reject counter-arguments offhand, we can't really call ourselves open-minded, can we? Not too long ago, a Christian pastor urged me to read a book, quote, with an open mind, end quote. He then said about himself, in my case, I'm sure you would say I don't have a truly open mind, and I probably don't by the definition you would be using. Now, of course, either he would give serious consideration to the possible accuracy of the counter-arguments and the possibility that he could be wrong, or he wouldn't. The former is open-minded, which is what he asked me to be, and the latter is closed-minded, which he said he was. And so back to the echo chamber they go, believing and teaching others, including children who are still developing their ability for rational thought, that if a religious claim disagrees with the facts, then the facts are wrong. And yes, I grew up being taught that. In discussions with person after person, when they have no answer to defend a particular belief against evidence and reason, they respond with things like, well, I know XYZ is true, and I'll be praying for you. Now, don't get me wrong. You aren't necessarily wrong for firmly being convinced of something. Someone is going to disagree with you even if you're right, just like someone is going to agree with you even if you're wrong. But if you're wrong, and you're unwilling to consider that possibility, then you will stay wrong. And if you're waiting for a deity to give you a supernatural revelation that you're wrong, and that deity turns out to be just a fantasy, then anything it supposedly does reveal to you is nothing more than voices in your own head from your own vivid imagination. So, stay truly open to being in error about everything you believe. And you will find that with time, you just might start slowly believing less things that are wrong. Purposely step out of the echo chamber on a regular basis. In fact, getting as far as possible away from it for a time might prove to be quite enlightening. And it might be helpful to ponder the following questions, and these are in the note card. What do the facts and evidence really say? Is there really some sort of grand conspiracy in place to keep you from knowing the truth? What methods have you been using to determine reality from myth? When other people with significantly different beliefs use those methods, do they reliably come to the same conclusions as you? If they don't, then are those methods reliable? And if the methods you've been using are not reliable paths to know what is true, what methods are there that yield consistent results that you can use instead? Now here's something else you might do well to get in the practice of doing. When you hear a claim you are tempted to believe, or when you realize you already believe something is true, try to prove it wrong. Use the tools that reliably distinguish reality from fiction, the tools of critical thought and the scientific method, and let go of your attachment to a desired outcome. Do you love false beliefs more than you love the truth? If not, then this should not be out of your reach. And if you do, then you might have tuned out and returned to your echo chamber already. Now, before we close, I'd like to offer an alternate perspective on the echo chamber. It's not only the environment you should consider when receiving information, the source of the information is important as well. Here are a couple of examples. Will you give a brain surgeon's description of the human brain the same consideration as you would give the arguments against that surgeon's words by your uncle, whose expertise lies in UFOs and Bigfoot? Or would you give as much credence to arguments about whether the earth is hollow and filled with mysterious inner lands and fantastic creatures by a professional geologist as you would by someone who has memorized the book The Kingdom of Agartha and believes it to be true? So, the source can matter. When you can check the studies and fact-check the claims, you should absolutely do so, especially when those claims are large. Is the universe less than 10,000 years old or billions of years? Did human life start with Adam and Eve, who ate a forbidden fruit and inspired a god to curse every human who would ever be born with suffering, pain, death, and probable eternal torment and agony in a never-ending lake of fire? Was there one language that instantly morphed into many different languages after humans built a tower too high? Was there a worldwide flood that massacred every living creature, both man and beast, except for 8 people and thousands upon thousands of animals who were enclosed in a wooden barge with one tiny window for over a year? Was Jonah swallowed by a huge fish which had apparently just eaten a boat filled with antacids and oxygen tanks, and therefore he somehow lived to tell? Now, I realize some of you listening might believe those things really happened, and it's not my intention to unnecessarily offend anyone. But before you insist that the vast majority of the peer-reviewed experts in all of the earth sciences are stupid, deceived, or in on a conspiracy to hide the truth, and that the ancient texts in the Bible are more reliably accurate and true to reality because other writings also included in that book say the whole book is true, stop, step back, and take a critical, unattached look at the sources, the evidence, and the facts, and listen to reason. And if or when you return to the echo chamber you might have known your whole life, you just might find it to be much less convincing than you previously imagined it to be. Well, that's all I have for today, and as we close out today's service, I'd like to offer you the opportunity to instant message one of us if you need to talk with someone, or you can go to almcyberchurch.org, click the Director's Offices link, and contact us there. Whenever you need to leave, you're dismissed, and if you can stay for a bit, you're invited to meet with us in the garden in front of the church in a few minutes just to hang out and chat. And I hope your week is filled with laughter, learning, realizations, and love.